It's been a while since I've been able to get a video done. Just been really busy. There again, you know, I've got arts and crafts shows that I'm doing, and trying to get ready for those. And been really busy at the fire department also. But anyway, I'm getting ready for a show this weekend, and I was just thinking, you know, I need some more bowls. So I went out and was looking around the log pile, you know, trying to find some good wood, and I found a big old piece of elm, and of course it's dry. It's been dry for 3 to 4 years, so it's good. It's ready to go. Anyway, I'm gonna get out here. I'm gonna cut this thing into a bowl blank, this log, and we're gonna get this thing going. And I hope you enjoy it. Let's get the chainsaw. Okay, well, I've already removed the pith out of this log. Just gonna clean up the bottom here, and I'm gonna cut off a slab for this bowl. I'm shooting for about 3.5 to 4 inches wide. We'll get through this bowl, try to make it straight, smooth a cut as I can. And there we go. Alright, good to go. Let's get started. Okay, I'll find the center here, but I'm trying to keep my bowl. This is the far end of the bowl, so that's my total diameter. I'm going for the center, and I'll find the center here also. Shooting for I'm going about 15 3/4 inches on this rough diameter. I should be able to get that to turn over my bedways. With a 16-inch swing, that gives me about 1/4 inch all the way around, depending on how good I get the cuts. So we'll just draw a circle here, and we'll get ready to take it over to the bandsaw and get it all cut out. Just roughly cutting around the circle. And just like that. We've got a rough blank, so we'll get started here. Alright, I've had a nail in there, and now I've got my centering jig on the hole, so I can get my faceplate mounted in the center. And I'm using 1 3/4 wood screws. Of course, always use all the screw holes in your faceplate, just for security. I like using faceplates. They're very secure. Alright, yeah, I got her mounted on the lathe, and it didn't quite fit over my bedways. I had to trim a couple of areas. I just did that with an angle grinder with sanding pads on it, and just quickly remove that extra little bit of wood so I could turn it. Alright, let's get started. Start working on the bottom with my 5/8 bowl gouge. I'm just trying to true everything up right now. I'm not even roughing anything out yet. I want to get a good cut all the way across the face. Pretty close. Okay, and I'll start working my way up the sides a little. Just trying to get everything trued up so it turns better. Actually, I had one heavy side of this bowl, so it never actually got in perfect balance. It turned really well, but it never actually got in perfect balance. We're just working our way up. And the smaller banjo that I have kind of gave me difficulties here on the larger bowls, because it won't reach to the outside of it. I do have an extension, but I don't really like using it because it creates a lot of vibration. So I just slowly work my way up to the sides there, like that. Alright, start working on our tenon. And people ask me all the time, why do you use a tenon instead of a recess? Well, honestly, I don't really have a preference on that. The tenons have always gave me good service. Plus, I don't have to worry about splitting the wood, you know, in a recess when I'm pushing out against the sides. So a tenon has just always worked good for me. I've used recesses, but I just don't actually prefer them. But here we are, kind of roughing up the sides. All I want is a nice curve in this bowl. I'm not looking for a ogie shape or anything. I just want a nice curve on this big bowl, and that's all I'm looking for. And I would get a little vibration in the side. Like I said, it's heavy on one side. That's why I would, every now and then I might have to stop in the middle of a cut, because I would start getting some vibration off the bowl itself. And I left a little place at the top. It was kind of a bark inclusion, and I thought it might add a little character to the bowl. And here I am. I'm just coming around and doing some scraping to finish up on the outside. We'll continue on scraping here. Just make sure everything's nice and smooth and as free of tool marks as I can get it. It looks pretty good. Okay, we'll get started on the inside. There again, just true up the face. The face itself was actually adding some vibration, so truing this up will help with all of that also. What I'm looking for is a good cut all the way across the face. This should do it right here. And you can see there's a fresh cut all the way across, so I know it's true. Now let's bring up the tailstock just for extra security, and I'll just start working my way to the center, roughing it and just roughing everything out. I'm not trying to do any finishing cuts right now or anything like that. I'm just trying to remove material. And this bowl gouge was cutting so well. Freshly sharpened Carter & Son 5/8 bowl gouge. But you can see how it developed a wobble there. It's not actually a wobble. It was a vibration or a harmonic or whatever you want to call it that developed as I was making that cut, and it started vibrating the bowl. So I backed off a little bit, and that's why it looks like it's got a little wobble in it, but it really doesn't. So I'm just trying to leave enough in the center so I can keep pressure with the tailstock a little bit, and just for support. And then we're going to work on just hogging this thing out. And I'm just pushing down the sides and just roughing. Big bowl, lots of shavings. They got everywhere. Here they were piling up all over my tools. And they get in behind them and everything else. It makes it hard to clean up. Oh well, anyway. We're back now. I'm getting closer to the rim, closer to the diameter that I'm looking for. So I'm going to make easier cuts here. and start trying to feel my thickness, my wall thickness. I'm looking for about 3/8 of an inch. I don't really want a half, that'll be pretty thick, but I'm looking for about 3/8 of an inch of thickness here. If you notice, this cut here is a lot less aggressive than the other, so I'm just coming up the sides, kind of shaping up the rim a little bit, and I'll start checking my thicknesses. And I'll use pull cuts and scraping just to smooth out the edges and get that rim just as close to uniform as I possibly can, just like this. Had a little thick spot there. I'm still checking. And when I get done on the rim here, it'll be finished. And I'll work my way into the bottom and just roughing this. But the rim has already had its finishing cuts and everything. It's ready for sanding. And we'll just continue working, roughing this thing out. A lot of wood to remove out of here. And I'm generally pretty aggressive with that. But I had to bring up my little curved tool rest here because my other couldn't get in there. This is actually deeper than what it looks on the video. It's about 3.5 to 4 inches deep. So I get a little chatter off my tools if I didn't use this curved rest. And we'll just continue on. Now I'm just trying to match the profile of the outside of the bowl and keep my diameter from the top all the way to the bottom very consistent. I don't want any, I don't want the bottom thick. I don't think that feels like a quality bowl. So I try to make the entire thing the same wall thickness. So we continue on. We'll remove a little bit more out of the center, and then we'll work more on the bottom until we get the right thicknesses and the finished surface that we're looking for. Here again, I'm still using my 5/8 bowl gouge. It has actually become the workhorse on my lathe. I use it for just about everything. And it used to be a 1/2 inch bowl gouge that I used. Now I'm checking the bottom here, but now I've gone to a 5/8. I get better control with a 5/8 and keep them very, very sharp. Okay, now I'm just going to work on this bottom curve here and blend it right into the bottom. The bottom is the thickness that I need. I'm just going to blend that curve from the bottom up into the sides. Until I've matched my outer profile. I'm coming straight, flat across the bottom and then up the curve. Just checking for thickness, and I'll use the round nose scraper here to work on the bottom to get it nice and flat and work that curve nice and smooth. Just across the bottom and up that curve. Don't forget to keep check with your fingers for ridges, and if you feel ridges, you need to get them taken out, because you can't really sand them out. You need to make sure all your tool marks and ridges are gone. There we go. Alright, let's look into believe we're going to start sanding here. I will power sand. My first sanding will be power sanding at 80 grit, or 120. I'm sorry, this was 120. And I'll do the inside and the outside, and then I'll hand sand from there on. And I sanded this bowl to 320 grit. 320 grit. Now we'll get ready to take the tenon off. I just have a jam chuck in my one-way stronghold, and put pressure on it from the tailstock to hold it steady while I cut this tenon off. And I'll do that with my 1/2-inch bowl guide. Notice it's a little smaller than the 5/8. I'm working in really close, so I get good control with it. Right here. And there again, it's Carter & Son tools that I'm using here. They're very, very, very sharp. But I'll just continue on until I get the nub really small. Once I get the nub really small, I'll sand the bottom, and then I'll move on to sanding. I'll break that little nub off. All right. Okay, now we'll sand. Get the bottom sanded up to 320, just like the rest of the bowl. Sanding with the grain. All right, we'll break that nub off and sand it. Then I'm getting ready for my finish. And this is a water-based varnish that I'm using. I found it at Michael's, and it works really good, but it comes in small bottles, and I can't use a brush really well with a small bottle, so I poured it all into a jar. But it's a water-based, non-toxic finish, and it works really well. It seals up the wood really good. And I like the way it brings out the grain. But with it being water-based, of course, you have to sand in between every coat. This bowl took about 3 coats. I just did the outside of the bowl, or the inside of the bowl, and then I flipped it over on some little pieces of wood. Actually, they were just scraps set under the rim to keep it up off the table. And then I just proceeded on putting coat finish on the outside. And I try, as I'm brushing, to go with the grain as much as possible. Go with the grain. And remember that these water-based finishes will raise the grain, and you will get a fuzzy texture on the outside. You have to sand off before you do the next coat. And once that's done, we will be done. All right then. Well, that's pretty good. That was a fun project. Took me about 3.5 hours start to finish. Got my bowl right here. It's Elm. Really fun project. But Elm has like a texture almost. It's really good wood to turn, and I enjoy turning it, and I've made a lot of mugs and things like that out of it. But it actually does have a texture. It's almost kind of like oak. The wood's not as hard as oak as far as turning and all, but it's a lot of fun to turn. I guess you saw the shavings. I mean, now, and this wood is bone dry, but look at this pile of shavings here. I mean, and it's everywhere. But it was a lot of fun. I really hated that most of that wood ended up like this, but it turned out to be a pretty bowl, I think. And I hope you all enjoyed the project. The finish that I've used on this is it's a water-based varnish. I got it at Michael's. They sell it there. It's non-toxic and everything. I don't believe anybody will be trying to eat out of this bowl, but it won't hurt it to have food contact with it. So, but anyway, it's just a water-based varnish is what it's called, and it says on the instructions that it is non-toxic. So anyway, there it is. I like it, and it's pretty big. It's let me see here. Where did my? There it is. Across. That's the bad barked up area. Across there to right here is 15 inches. I could still go a little bit more. I could still go a little bit more with my diameter, but by the time I got it trued up and actually, well, it never did get in balance either, but I had got down to about 15 inches. So, oh well, you know, as the largest bowl that I can turn over the bedways is 16 inches on my lathe, but that's a big bowl right there. In my book, that's a 15-inch bowl is a big old bowl. But I hope y'all enjoyed it, and I hope to see you again soon. I got some free time now. After this show's over, I can get back on my videos and things like that. It's been a hard summer for me. Glad to see you all back. I hope y'all have a good day, and we'll see y'all down the road.